Joy, you can take us through the roll call list.
Mayor Heim. Present. Counselor Johnson. Counselor White. Counselor Jetta.
Present.
And Counselor Hendrickson is absent tonight.
We don't really have a mayoral update at this time. It's been a slow few weeks since the last meeting. I was also on vacation for a period of time. But hopefully I'll have something to report at our next meeting. Public discussion. This is for any items that are not listed on the agenda or for any items that a motion will not be made tonight. Discussion is limited to 3 minutes per presenter. If there's anyone interested, please come up to the podium, state your name and your address, and then address the council.
Karen, I'll share with Eagle 2 Arnold Road. I have some questions about the upcoming government. People are reaching out to me wondering, are we gonna be able to see who's applying? Or do we have to wait till all applications are in to see? Or is it like a transparent, like sign up sheet?
It's not a sign up sheet.
No, I just meant like, is it beautiful? Maybe something.
So if you go to evanvotes.org, that is the Minnesota Secretary of State. So every day that we get a candidacy form, I have to send it to the county. The county then sends it to the state. So they should be updated within a matter of days from when I received it.
So we'll see it running. And does it list what they're going for?
Yes.
And then my next question was on the election judge appointments, if you will. How is that selected?
Tony, you're involved in that as the lead judge. Why don't you explain that process?
So it is involved that there's a couple of steps you have to go through in the process, but number one is those that have signed up for it at different caucuses. The state sends us a listing of all of those people. We also have people that can just sign up through our website or that have been candidates or have been judges in the past. And then once they go through the training, then we just kind of select from there the number of judges that we need for the next election.
So how many do we need for this election?
For the primary one, we'll probably have 4. Just because it's not particularly busy and during those busy times, Robin and I will be here for extra help if needed.
Okay.
So in today's agenda, we see a list of 19. And I just found it ironic that I came to judge training and I am the only name that is on here. Want communities to not be divided when people go out of their way to help in a political effort. It should not be personal. All I have.
Thank you, Karen. Is there anyone else? I just saw how much I hate talking with them.
Shannon Canais, 4152 Nelson Road. My question is, I know there was some stuff laid down on the roads for dusting, correct? Is there a reason why Nelson Road only got partial?
Nelson Road is done by the county, not the city.
It's a city street. It's on the dead end side. It's on the north side of Nelson Road.
Oh, okay. Shane?
West Nelson, Spring and all.
Part of it was they came down the road on the wrong side of the road. It went just past our house and it stopped. And the other side of the road wasn't done at all. And that was on Thursday morning. So I was thinking, okay, maybe they ran out, they had to go fill up.
It's a work in progress.
They'll be better.
Yeah, there's a few roads that have not been done that in the city list.
Is there any reason why they would be coming down the road on the wrong side?
Change.
Okay. They did. So, you know, for a couple of cars that pulled out and then he was coming at them. I have no idea who it was, but.
Shane, can you address that with something?
Another question I have is I brought up our driveway. And I said that it is going to wash out when we have rain and the thaw. It is washing out. Nobody has been back there. Every rain we get, it gets a little more. I figured I'd give you guys time to come out and look at it, but nobody's been out there to look at it yet, so.
Yeah, I had one about. Somewhat. We'll have to be done with it.
There's a definite stream there. I don't know where he put the rock, but there wasn't any added, I can tell you that. I have pictures from back when it started and I have pictures from a week ago. And there hasn't been anything added.
Can you have variables to me?
Again,
Thank you.
thank you.
We'll make sure that's followed up on. Any other comments from the audience? Okay, then we will move on to the consent agenda. On the consent agenda are the minutes from the council meeting on June 22nd. Also the finance meeting on July 6th. We also have executed claims. Payroll for June is $48,980.86. And then claims for June 23rd to July 13th totaling $118,000, $543.66. I did have one question on the executed claims. We paid out $12,000 for legal fees to St. Louis County. What was that?
That was for 2025 for criminal prosecution,
Okay,
what we pay them annually.
got it. Anyone else have any questions or comments on the consent agenda? If not, then I will take a motion. Council Craig's made a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll support.
Council Jacka has seconded. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. We are going to move around the agenda a little bit. We have a speaker here to give a presentation from CDMC, Darren Lee. So that he does not have to remain for the entire meeting. We will move him up to now.
For having me and for moving me on the agenda. I appreciate it. I'm Darren Lee with Clarion Hood and I represent the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities down at the legislature and we love to come out to our member cities during the interim between legislative sessions and usually over the summer and give you guys an update on what we've been working on down in the legislature on your behalf and what we have coming up. We can go to the next slide here. So just kind of a reminder of who we are, 100 cities outside of the metro area. And those are kind of the issues that we work on. We added a couple more that we've been working on more the last couple of years. So emergency medical services, we added was one as well. I work on transportation. And I guess what separates us from the League of Minnesota Cities is they have sort of a wide range of membership, a lot of which is metro areas. So it allows us to focus on, those issues that are more sort of important to Greater Minnesota. So that sort of distinguishes us. And we can go to the next slide. I'll start with kind of a recap, but before I get into that, I handed out a folder and I'll just talk a little bit about what's in there. So we've got our session report. that kind of gives a summary of everything that took place over the legislative session. And then sort of a 101 on CDMC, what we do, our environmental program, staff contacts. So if you have any questions on any of these issues, I'm on there under transportation, but you can get a hold of us anytime. If you have suggestions or what we should be working on, questions about any of those issues and what's going on, please give us a call. We got our housing flyer, and this is kind of a really lengthy report, so we put a QR code on there and you can read that when you have time or when you're interested. So that's that one, and then our events coming up. We've got our summer conference coming up very shortly, and you all love to have you there. We have our fall conference coming up in Winter Park, and then which is action day. Next year, but we have some good speakers coming up. At our summer conference, so we hope you'll join us, and then our labor and employee relations. So lots of good stuff there. We can go to the next slide. So United Government brings low expectations. So once again, we had a 67 tie in House of Representatives between the parties. The Democrats have a 1-seat advantage in the Senate. Those are kind of the issues that really were the focus. I would say broad guns, school safety, the Hennepin County Medical Center popped up as an issue, which they got something done on that, but that hospital is facing financial issues, and so that took a lot of the discussion, and then of course bonding. But I will say they really didn't exceed my expectations with the amount of legislation final events, which we'll get to slide. So our agenda for the session was protect local government aid, a bonding bill, lead line, service line replacement is a big one that we've been working on, and then housing issue keeps coming up again and again. Where the state or advocates at the state level are trying to preempt local zoning control at the city level. Forecast, this one here. So the thing about this slide is, if you remember back to February of 2025, we had a $6 billion deficit. And so February forecast of 2026, it improved quite a bit. We still have that structural imbalance. And people sometimes ask, what's the difference between a deficit and a structural imbalance? The structural imbalance is just coming in versus the difference in what's going out. So if that persists, then you would have a deficit. So the next biennium, you can see there's just a little bit of money on the bottom line going into stations. That was kind of what set the stage. So we can scroll down to the next one. So because it's a non-budget year, there wasn't a lot of talk of new spending. It's typically a bonding year, where the legislature will do a budget in the odd number of years, and then bonding in an even number of years. But that hasn't necessarily always been the case the last decade or so. They haven't necessarily scheduled, but luckily there was no discussion of cutting LGA this year. In 2025, the Senate had proposed a cut, which we defeated, thankfully. But because of the improved budget situation, I would say the discussion over LGA luckily didn't come up much at all this year. So I'm going to get into bonding a little bit here. Go to the next slide. Thank you. So they did have a bonding bill in 2025, even though it was a budget bill. So we were kind of concerned that since they did one in 2025, they may not do one, but we were advocating for a larger bill than what the governor was proposing. And here you can see what the governor was proposing. A lot of it on state-owned assets, state-owned buildings, taking care of some of that deferred maintenance, that builds up. He was proposing 99 million for the Public Facilities Authority, which is the agency that, gives out grants and loans for those water and wastewater projects, which, as you know, are so expensive, for small communities in particular. And he was proposing nothing for local roads and bridges, which, that was unacceptable among installed. We were advocating for a more substantial amount for Public Facilities Authority and then also for roads and bridges. And then he left very little aside for local in his bill. So, there's, you can see some of our testifiers advocating for bonding bill, during various committee hearings over the, and we ended up passing a bill, thankfully, and you can see this is the difference between, this is what actually passed in comparison to what the government proposed on previous slide. So we got 1.24 billion. And over 400 million for water and wastewater, which we were very happy with. I think the thing that we were disappointed in the most, is that there was not as much for lead lines as we had hoped, which I think I'm gonna get to on one of the next slides, but local roads and bridges, 25 million, 47 million. And then lots of money for local projects. And then if you add in, other earmarked projects or, named projects on roads and bridges, there was another 100 million added there. So it was a pretty good bill, all in all, I think. They borrowed, I think, up to the most that they could borrow within the guidelines. So that was good. So lead lines, so the EPA is mandating that all lead service water lines be removed. And so, we got money started, in 2023, there was a substantial amount of funding. And we had been asking for between 150 and 200 million this year. And this is something that we're going to have to come back on and work on. There's a coalition of labor unions, environmental groups, and then city groups kind of been working on this together to try to get funding to remove those lead lines, because particularly for children, no amount of lead in water, drinking water is safe. And so, we do have a link to our inventory, an inventory map, so you can actually look at. There's still work to be done on the inventory, but, for one day have inventory, you can go on the, Pollution Control Agency's website and kind of see where you lie on that. There's lead lines identified there. So we'll go to the next slide here. So only 15 million this year. And so we're gonna have to come back again next year and work on finding a dedicated funding source, because, there's not gonna, the 2027 construction season, there's not gonna be enough funding to do a full construction season in 2027 unless we get some more support. So, housing and zoning. So this is the one that keeps coming up after year. 2024, they called it the missing middle bill. 25 was Gets the Home, and now it's called the Starter Home Act. And so it's a little bit different the way that they set it up. The advocates of this kind of like a third and a third. So I think they were hoping that it would be a little bit more flexible for local governments, but it's still way too brief. So cities under 5,000, that first bullet would apply to all cities, regardless of size. So then that's the preemption on aesthetic and material standards, homeowners association preemption, and then our alternative dwelling units. So, one thing that did pass was the homeowners association preemption, and there was some regulations on homeowners associations. But for cities over 5,000, it's kind of like you're gonna have to upzone single family to 4 units, or a third of your properties, or allow multifamily in a third of your commercial zones. So like it's above storefronts, that sort of thing. And then if you go to the next slide, cities over 10,000 would have to do even more additional requirements. So you'd have to pick from a list of those additional requirements, like getting rid of parking minimums, housing subsidy programs, or a couple of those other items. So that was kind of their proposal. And then if you go to the next slide, so there's our executive director, Bradley Peterson. Testifying against some of these efforts. The League of Minnesota Cities dropped their opposition to the bill. You could say they would still technically say they weren't in favor of it. They weren't actively lobbying against it. It was defeated in committees in the House, no hearing in the Senate. And we'll expect advocates for zoning preemption to come back again next year. But it's not we know that zoning is not the silver bullet to solving our housing problems in the state of Minnesota. We know our local units of government want economic development. They want economic growth. And so zoning preemption of zoning is not the answer. So looking ahead to the next election, of course, Governor Walz is not running, so we're gonna have a new governor next year. There's still an open primary on both sides. For that, all legislators are on the ballot. And then we also have U.S. Senate race, all of Congress is on the ballot as well. I would say, the Republicans face some historical headwinds with the president's party, it being a midterm election and the president's party and we're in Congress, so that sometimes the pendulum swings back the other way, or it often does. And then January 14th is when the 2027 session starts, and I think I just have our upcoming events. So those are what you can join us for. It's our conference hall conference and our action day, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And thanks again for having me and moving your agenda around on your agenda. So I'll let you get on with anything else on the agenda if there's no questions, but happy to answer some.
One question I have is, you said in 2025, there wasn't a lot of, concern about LTA being cut. What do you see in upcoming years happening with that?
So in 2025, there was a little bit of discussion about the LGA. The Senate Democrats had proposed a cut of $20 million, I believe it was, in LGA. House Republicans and the House Democrats both opposed those cuts. And so luckily those didn't happen, and we opposed them as well, and we're lobbying against them. In 2026, there wasn't as much discussion because the situation had improved. But depending on, how things go, and, we'll have another budget forecast in November and then another one in February. So depending on how those budget forecasts come out, we'll have to see. If we go back to having a deficit and we don't maintain that surplus, that could. So we'll have to see, what the forecast is. That depends on how the economy does and the revenues that are in. So.
What reports was the Senate one for?
So they had proposed a $20 million cut to the LGA item that, so LGA does not increase with inflation. That's another thing that we'd like to see, is that LGA increase automatically with inflation, because there's a lot of programs where that does happen. We're not gonna have to go back. Can we get our, inflation adjustment, we feel like that should be shorter, but I think it's 684 million, I think, is what the level that we're at for LG. I think it's the level currently at, and that's what will remain at right now. So. Anybody else?
Anyone else with questions?
No.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks for having me. Had a good meeting.
All right, we'll move on to department reports. First, our administrative report.
June was busy with utility plans, election training, and broadband meetings. We continue to meet to prepare for the utility extensions planned for 2026 to 2028, which now include the extensions needed for the Rice Lake Road corridor project and the other portions of our bonding request that was awarded to us. There are a lot of things that must be completed during the design phase and pre-construction phase on these projects to make sure we have a successful project in the end. I attended absentee ballot election training and trained all of our election judges that serve in Rice Lake. This training is good for 2 years, and absentee voting has already started. The primary election will be held August 11th, and the general election will be held November 3rd. Robin and I met with Joe from CTC to discuss broadband options for those in Rice Lake that are not currently served by high-speed fiber internet. He told us they were awarded a federal grant to expand fiber in Rice. Process to receive funding is very slow, and they do not have a construction timeline established yet. We will continue to work with internet providers to make sure all remaining homes and businesses in Rice Lake have access to high-speed fiber. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions on our planned utility extensions, the upcoming elections, or broadband. And then just an update for data requests. In June, I processed 2 requests, total of 20.5 hours in staff time with estimated costs of $779. That brings our total 26 requests to 60 hours of staff time for estimated cost of $2,292.65.
20.5 hours for 2 requests.
Yeah, they were pretty lengthy requests for lots of reporting, so each one had to be gone through to make sure there was any items that needed to be redacted.
Who did the most in that one?
It was kind of split between Kim and I. She gathered the information and then I would review everything.
I'm beginning to wonder if we don't need a part-time person for this. Okay, any comments or questions? All right. Financial report.
Month ending of June. In our checking account, we have $2,213,788.44. In our investment account, we have $1,630,725.71. For a total combined cash of $3,844,514.15.
Council, any question? All right. Building and zoning.
June. Process 1 and split, 1 commercial addition, 3 residential decks, 2 residential demolition, 3 residential detached garages under 12,000 square feet, 5 detached garages over 12,000 square feet, 5 HVAC permits, 1 plumbing, 1 residential remodel, 6 residential roof siding, windows and or doors, 1 single-family residential dwelling, 1 right-of-way, and 1 wetland permit for a total of 31 permits processed. The total valuation was $1,171,874.94, and total fees collected were $13,218.67.
Council, any comments? Animal control.
Right, we got an email from St. Louis County Deputy about a dog bite on Nelson Road. The owner was advised to quarantine the biting dog, which he agreed to do, and agreed to handle any medical or veterinary costs. I don't know that anything has been done to date on that. We've gotten any more updates on that one at all. And then we did receive an email from St. Louis County Deputy regarding a incident on Kingston Road. the dogs began growling, barking, and nipping at her before one of them bit her. So, couple of issues with fighting dogs, and then we did have a 5 to 10-year-old Yorkie that was brought to Animal Allies, and then cat that was brought into Animal Allies that was trapped in the garage attic.
Well, I've been on the council for almost 8 years. I don't recall 2 incidents of fighting like this.
Yeah, I think I can only think of 2 we've had in total since I started, so.
My concern, and maybe this is something, excuse me, we need to put on our agenda for next time. With Charlie's resignation, we no longer have an animal control person. And we need to figure out what we're gonna do. So, everybody come up with some great ideas at our next meeting. Any comments? Great. Public Works report.
Starting with road for the month of June, Public Works continued maintaining the city roadway system through level 2. Gravel roads were graded, as weather conditions allowed to improve the driving surface and reduce washboard. Chloride dust control operations began late June, as a designated roads to reduce the risk of emissions and preserve the road surface to all solid. Asphalt patching started early, continued, correct, we started to see it, small patching here, small. So it's gonna be scheduled for the middle of July. Utilities, routine maintenance and inspection of city water and sanitary sewer systems continued throughout the month. Staff included utility opiates, responded to service requests and perform regular station inspections. Sanitary sewer lateral inspections also continued as part of the city's inflow and infiltration reduction program. With programmers being and what the required repairs are for that. Parks and facilities, routine mowing, trimming, playground inspections, and general maintenance continue to roll city parks, trails, public facilities to provide safe and maintain spaces for residents and visitors.
Thank you, Shane. Any comments? All right. Fire department report.
Okay, for the month of June, we had 23 calls for service, for not one grass fire, one smoking area, 2 gas leaks, 1 lift assist, and then 4 accidents with injuries. So for the first half of the year, we had 171 requests for service, and that continues to put us near record pace again year over year. Community events. Our race planners have been busy getting all the details together for this year's Red Run. That'll take place this Saturday, the 18th at 9 a.m. And kids off, of course, will follow that at about 10 a.m. Lots of raffle prizes, and we're looking forward to another fun event. And then earlier in June, we were also able to provide medical standby for John Warner 5K as well. And under training reimbursements, over training reimbursement requests for the 25-26 fiscal year were submitted to NBFT in June. We received $10,391 back so far, and with approximately 4,000 or so remaining pending department members passing their exams on Officer 1 and Regular 1 and 2. So once they pass those, then they will release those funds as well. And then last day of note, just before the meeting, we have the request for statewide utility up to Ely for tomorrow morning. So we're going to be working on putting a group together to assist up there. With any questions?
I just saw on the news there a little while ago that there's some real concern around the Ely area.
Yeah, they're predicting,
And possibly even evacuation to McClellan himself.
yeah, they're predicting a wind shift toward the Winton tomorrow, and that's why they request, the resources.
Going pretty big net up there.
I think so.
How many do you think we're gonna be sending out?
I don't know, after my report here, I'm gonna ask that I can leave so I can go plan that out.
Well, just to add on to the fire department report, if you haven't been to the Red Run, consider it. It's, even if you don't go to do, well, I don't do everything in run, I do walk. If you've never done it and still don't want to run or walk, the community camaraderie for that event is wonderful. And well worth some time. And the kids event, Tara, have your kids ever done it?
The obstacle course one, through you said, so through the, did you guys have a obstacle course last year, like at the fire hall, or am I wrong on that?
Behind the fire hall.
Okay, so we didn't go to that one, but we went to the longest obstacle course in the city park, and that was extremely successful. Nikki, USAT's manager, was very, very happy, excited.
I know a couple of kids that participated last year and they had a blast,
Mhm.
so. If there are any youngsters in your life, bring them. It's a really good time.
Buy some raffle tickets at the. Right now.
We got some good prizes.
Any other questions for the chief? All right, very cool.
Get forward.
Thank you.
Sheriff's report.
Weed rash, the chief is right, there are some problems in the northern part of the county. That everybody's working through right now, to include, flying some people out of bottom, I can't get out, currently. But up to Rice Lake, your stats are, for the month here are slightly under 200, incidents, which is consistent for this time of year. You might remember, our crime analyst, that we didn't have employed for a time is no longer. And so, we were asked to, last year to look at some of this historical data. I'm not sure if Austin, if Deputy Waitman, included, but, just looking at June of 2025, it's very consistent. It's just it's just the nature of it, what the numbers are. Interestingly, like, the fire chief said, there was four vehicle crashes in June. There was also 4 in 2025. So we're staying consistent with some of those numbers. Speed, we talked about that last time I was here, and that's a concern. Traffic stops are up, which typically we'll see in the summertime anyway as well, but to just under 100, here in June. And we also had the speed trailer out at a couple different locations within Rice Lake throughout this past month. The only other thing that I had then was, of course, we'll have a presence at National Night Out, August 4th at Rice Lake City Park.
Great, thank you.
Any questions?
Not questions, but just comments, I think. Just on the way up here, the corner in Martin and Howard and Eastern North. We're gonna need a roundabout there. People already think it's one. Somebody that. It was my turn to go. And there's someone that piggybacked on the car that was going across the market. I thought, oh, I see this happening, so I can't. Can't run into them, like I just want to go, but everybody wants to be first.
I know at least one St. Louis County traffic engineer who would totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We'll move on to new business. We've already had the CGMC presentation. So Gopher State 1 call. the increase letter, Tony?
Yeah, just kind of an update for you. We received this letter from Gopher State noting that they're going to increase their prices per ticket by 5 cents, so they'll now be $1.40 per notification. I don't know that they have ever raised their prices since I've been here, so I thought they would share that with you.
There comes your budget.
Anyone have any comments on this? Okay. The rezone, 4989 Rice Lake Road, aviation properties. Tony?
Yes, so in there's a public hearing on May 19th from the planning commission regarding the rezone. They did make a motion to recommend approval of the request to rezone the parcel from residential 1 and commercial to commercial south. This is, for those that aren't familiar with this is what we affectionately refer to as the Pallet Place on Rice Lake Road. Where they're currently operating is zoned commercial, but the rest of the parcel was zoned residential 1. They're looking at doing some potential expansions with a little bit better layout for a laydown yard. So that was why so they want to expand into the area that was zoned residential. So we suggested they rezoned to commercial south. Do those expansions.
What's the difference between commercial and commercial south?
Commercial is kind of the old zoning that we had, because we basically had a couple different residentials and then commercial. So when we updated our zoning map, we created a few different commercial zones. So commercial south is generally speaking supposed to be more service oriented type commercial businesses, and commercial north, I believe is what we call it, is more light industrial type commercial. So commercial south goes from city limits on Ridgeview Road to West Tisha Road. It's kind of that area there with minus the mixed use areas that we've designated.
Council comments?
This, I believe it is, just knowing the area, this is pretty consistent with their future land use map.
Yes, yep, it does.
I don't believe I can close that.
Yeah, yep, so it is listed as commercial south in our, I think just commercial in our future land use map. In the future land use map in the comp plan, we don't differentiate the commercial zones, so it is just zone commercial, so it's really just bringing the whole parcel into compliance. For some reason, a long time ago, if people wanted to rezone to commercial, they would just rezone the portion that their commercial business was operating on. So this is kind of a way trying to clean that up, just rezone the whole parcel. Yeah, there's a few other ones like the Lester River Sawmill is that way too. It's just where the sawmill is commercial and the rest is residential.
I think my piece is like that. I'd
Probably,
like to fix that.
yes, yeah, so I mean, it creates problems if you do want to expand or do anything on your property.
No comments from council? We'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 22-5 amendment in the summary.
Councilor Johnson has made the motion. Do I have a second? Councilor Quaid has seconded. Are there any comments from the audience? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We do have next the resolution appointing election judges. Tony, I think you've already kind of explained this process.
Yeah, so these are just election judges for the primary election. I didn't get a chance to ask people who would be willing to serve for this. Like I said, we'll probably just have 4 judges, so 4 judges in total per shift. So I just put everybody on there. one of the things they really stressed this year in the training is, judges and their discretion on information and the importance of keeping things confidential. Which, to answer Tara's question, if I can, when we started the training, there was a sign-in sheet for all of the judges to put their information on it. She took a picture of it. She is not in the resolution.
I took a picture because I knew you would exclude me. And I only did that to keep the names. And you specifically told me, you cannot share that. And I said, I know that, you don't have to tell me that. I am fully aware of the rules and regulations. So if that's the one reason why you didn't put me on there when I took off work to come to election judge training, that's a lie. And that speaks volumes of who you are. I took a picture because of the shenanigans I've dealt with in this city and you specifically. And I am the only one that is out there.
Tara,
She's ridiculous.
if confidentiality is a key aspect to this,
It's a
and you
public.
took picture of the names right there. It's a breach of
It's a
confidentiality.
sign-in sheet that you sign at the front. You could go take a picture of this one right now.
There's no confidentiality involved in this one. In this one, there was.
There was, okay, so where was the sheet that said you cannot take a picture of that?
Common sense.
No, that's not.
Point of order, if we're gonna have a discussion on all this, maybe, do you wanna open this to public discussion?
Well, this topic will be open. And this resolution will be open. That being said, any other comment?
What was the reason you wanted to have a picture?
Exactly what just happened. I've had 2 years of her targeting my family. Treating us like crap. Coming to these things, going out of my way to do good things for this community, and she gets away with behaving like that constant. I wanted to make sure I could cross-check, not to mention 3 days prior, Sue Olson, anonymous Sue Olson, decided to call my work, Lake Superior Dental, where Jana works, your daughter, and tell them that they were in the market for a dentist, but they would never go to Lake Superior Dental because I worked there.
Tara, that has nothing to do with city business.
It is city business, because if that person was at the meeting,
That's enough. That's enough.
how is it enough? You guys opened the can of worms. She brought it up. She said that's why she excluded me from the list. I'm gonna look into that, because that's not right.
You have every right to look into it.
Yeah. And when you defend that behavior, you just show everybody what you stand for.
I hope so. I hope so.
Okay.
Are there any other comments? Well, no, I need to do a resolution. I mean, I want you to do. Anyone else has comments?
Just a question, does that form that you took a picture of, does it say confidential on
No, it's, I have it right here. And because she made it a point to say you can't share it if that's private, so I blocked out all the addresses.
You can share that with her later.
Yeah,
Well, actually,
and there was nothing on the table that said this is private.
I was just asking, because typically when you have a form like that, that's confidential, it'll say it on one.
No, it doesn't say anything. It's just defending her awful behavior.
okay. Want to take the motion?
I'll make a motion to pass resolution 2620, appointing election judges for primary election.
Council Jecka has made the motion. Do I have a second? Council Quaid has seconded. Are there any additional comments from the audience? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion passes.
All abstain for the record.
Okay. 8.5 is executed claims. This was pulled from the consent agenda because the first being paid is the right of counselors, therefore. Councilor Quaid will be abstaining. So executed claims, June 23rd to July 13th, 2026, totaling $288. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the executed claim for Tracy Quinn.
Counselor Johnson has made the motion. Do I have a second?
I will second.
Counselor Dreckett has seconded. Any comments from the audience? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Counselor Quaid has abstained. All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Okay. We're looking at, what is it, Alto's zero turn mower?
Yeah, that's the Altos TFX 766 So Public Works, currently their zero turn that we have, the grade is 16 years old. That's pretty much reached the point of replacement and should be considered. Swung here, it's designed for steeper slopes. It has a back system on them. For all of their terrain, that's wrong. The bigger hill, the steep hill from some of the ones. The purpose of this specific design is the safety on this, like I said, on the steep hillsides, uneven terrain. It's tracked under carriage provided exceptional traction and stability, significantly reducing the risk of lower control compared to conventional zero turn mowers out with all of the seniors. Efficiently maintain areas that are more difficult and time consuming to mow. It's got an independent suspension to run from it, so it's kind of most going on. We did do a demo with Public Works. The front tires never get on the ground. They went straight up and straight back down with it.
Have we looked at any other types of mowers like this?
There really isn't too many options when it comes to this track style. Your conventional zero turn mowers, we can't avoid everything just like that, especially the water truck.
I'm not a big lawnmower person. I want some of the rest of the council.
I don't know about the track ones. But this seems about, $5,000 more than, new real one-ish to me. So that kind of makes sense for price. Also say 16 years out of the last one, that's pretty good. Kind of tells me you guys are taking care of your stuff. I appreciate it. And this is that we budgeted for. We budgeted for this last year, right? So
Yeah, the last year we had budget for the other one.
How the quickness on that there, can't figure equipment.
Yeah, it's actually faster.
It really. It looks like quite a machine.
I think it looks like it's having too much fun.
Yeah, well, they do. I've seen them all.
There'll be argument if he gets to mow the lawn.
Yeah, I've seen Tony's daughter mowing at the park before and I couldn't watch it very long.
It's too long to. Hey Shane, what type of warranty and where do we get service on this new mower?
Where's the other Peter? All service, it's all over, so.
Any other questions, council?
So we're ready to go. I don't say.
Just got one question. For our policy, we just passed purchase of over $10,000. You just try to find a quote for this model on someone to be compliant with that, or
It's under state.
Oh, yep, second.
State contract.
it's under state contract?
Yeah, so therefore then we don't have to get two quotes, generally speaking, because the state has already, in essence, done that.
Oh,
We have.
sure.
Is that in here?
It was not.
All right, if there are no more questions, council, I'll look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of the new Alto zero turn mower. That's given in the quote for agenda item report 2619.
Council Jack has made the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Council Quaid has seconded. Comments from the audience? All right, seeing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Now we have a first reading of resolution 2619. The resolution adopting assessment number 39. So you want to take us through?
Sure. So this is a voluntary trunk fee assessment for a parcel that is connecting to our sewer and water. And they are just going to have their trunk fee assessed to their property taxes.
Okay. We do this.
We do, yes, yeah.
Council, any questions?
They tell me what you're calling it, voluntary. I'm gonna ask tomorrow, but
Yes, so, according to the assessment, I was hoping this had the state statute number, so. Assessments are governed by state statutes, and so normally you have to go through the whole hearing process in order to assess a property. Since they are voluntarily doing it, we have them sign an agreement that states that they are voluntarily requesting this be assessed to their property tax. So then we don't have to go through the public hearing process.
Thank you for that. Makes sense. Any other questions? All right. We will not be voting on this tonight. But I will be brought back at our next meeting and we will go over there. Still no unfinished business? Right. Then I will look for a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned, or motion adjourned, meeting adjourned. Yeah.